By Gurubsar, Lankar Ida Baguz. How the rich and the government maintain oppression through the tax system. The Dutch tax system is often presented as fair, transparent, and progressive, a system where higher incomes contribute more to society than lower incomes. In theory, this sounds like a solid foundation for social justice and economic balance. However, behind this carefully constructed facade lies a complex network of rules, exceptions, and tax benefits that, in reality, primarily favor the highest income groups. The middle class, often praised as the backbone of the economy, bears a disproportionately heavy burden. While they contribute significantly to the state treasury, they barely benefit from the fiscal advantages available to the highest income groups. This creates a situation where the middle class is financially squeezed, while the economic elite have access to fiscal constructions and tax havens that allow them to keep a substantial portion of their wealth out of the reach of tax authorities. At the same time, the system keeps lower incomes trapped in a vicious cycle of dependence. Social welfare programs offer a safety net but often come with conditions and restrictions that discourage economic independence. As a result, progress is hindered, and the gap between rich and poor remains persistently wide. The current system seems more focused on preserving existing economic power structures than on creating genuine equality and opportunities for all. A thorough revision of tax regulations is necessary to achieve a fairer and more just tax policy, where everyone, regardless of income level, contributes proportionally and has equal access to opportunities for economic advancement. 1. The rules are not the same for everyone. The wealthy not only have more money but also greater access to knowledge, advisors, and legal loopholes. This enables them to minimize taxes through complex financial constructions, move their wealth to tax havens, make clever use of deductions and fiscal benefits that ordinary citizens often aren't even aware of. Meanwhile, people in Box 1, the working class, pay direct and heavy taxes on their hard work, with no escape routes. They simply don't have the resources to cleverly funnel their money elsewhere. 2. Political decisions favor the wealthy. The government, largely composed of politicians from higher economic circles, creates laws that primarily benefit themselves and their wealthy peers. Wealth taxes in Box 3 remain relatively low, while income in Box 1 is heavily taxed. Large corporations enjoy tax benefits and subsidies, while small entrepreneurs often drown in bureaucracy and regulations. Taxes on luxury goods, such as yachts, private jets, or art collections, are rarely tightened. The system is designed to shield the elite from poverty, while the middle class and poor constantly struggle to make ends meet. 3. Financial oppression and debt systems. The system actively encourages poverty and debt. Low incomes bear higher relative burdens. The lower your income, the heavier every tax feels. Debt is encouraged. Think of student loans, mortgages, and consumer credit. People remain trapped in financial chains. Poverty is expensive. Poor people often pay higher interest rates on loans and have less access to financial benefits. In the end, the poor pay more for everything. 4. The illusion of democracy. We are told we live in a democracy where everyone has a voice. But is that really true? Political parties rely on donations from wealthy businesspeople and corporations. These donors gain influence over policy and legislation. The media, often controlled by the same elite, decide which stories are told and which problems are ignored. Election promises about fairer taxes often vanish once the votes are counted. The voice of the ordinary citizen is drowned out by money and power. 5. The working class is deliberately distracted. To prevent people from becoming aware of this inequality, attention is diverted with political division, left versus right, religious versus secular, culture versus culture. Consumer society, buy this, own that, keep working to pay the bills. Fear politics, refugees, crime, economic crises, there's always something to fear. Meanwhile, the wealthy continue to profit, unimpeded by real oversight or restrictions. 6. The ultimate goal, control through dependency. The poor and middle class are often dependent on salaries. They can't stop working without immediately facing financial hardship. Dependent on loans, debt traps them in a cycle of repayment. Dependent on government aid, subsidies and allowances seem like lifelines but keep people tied to political decisions. A population that is financially dependent is a population that remains obedient. Conclusion: a deliberately created system of inequality. The government and the elite have designed a system where the wealthy grow wealthier through clever tax rules and access to power. The poor remain poor through heavy tax burdens, debt, and dependency on government support. The working class is too busy surviving to resist this inequality. This isn't accidental, it's a deliberately designed system of control and exploitation. The only way out is awareness and resistance. Raise awareness about this inequality. Demand transparency and fair policies. Encourage financial independence among individuals. Hold the elite accountable for their actions. As long as this system remains in place, the gap between rich and poor will only grow wider. The system isn't broken, it's working as intended. The current system wasn't accidentally created, it was carefully and deliberately built to keep the elite in power and the rest of the population under control. The power structures are woven into a complex web where rules, taxes, and social programs appear fair on the surface but, in reality, primarily protect the interests of a small group. The truth is that poverty isn't an accident, but a consequence of policy. The growing gap between rich and poor isn't a flaw in the system, it's the intended result of how the system was designed to function. But there's always a way out, and it begins with awareness and leads to resistance. 1. Awareness, the first step toward freedom. Knowledge is power. Understand how the system works, how tax laws are applied, and who truly benefits. See through the illusion, the narratives of meritocracy, hard work leads to success, keep people in line while the rules aren't the same for everyone. Ask questions: why are large corporations subsidized while small entrepreneurs drown in regulations? Why are ordinary people's savings and pensions eroded while billions disappear into tax havens? Awareness means breaking through the facade and recognizing that the system isn't working for you, but against you. 2. Resistance, from awareness to action. Individual resistance: be financially conscious, minimize your dependence on loans and burdensome work. Make choices that increase your personal freedom. Community resistance. Collaborate with like-minded individuals, build networks of people who support each other without relying on large institutions. Political resistance. Vote consciously, support policymakers who truly strive for change and don't simply seek to line their own pockets. Economic resistance. Buy locally, support small businesses, and withdraw your money from big banks that prioritize profit over people. 3. Breaking the vicious cycle. The elite relies on ignorance, division, and fear to maintain control. But through awareness, cooperation, and action, we can break this cycle. No more illusions, the system won't change on its own. No more dependence, every step towards independence is an act of resistance. No more silence, speak up, share knowledge, and break through the facade of normal. The only way out of this system is to understand it, see through it, and consciously resist it, not with violence, but with knowledge, cooperation, and perseverance. The choice is clear. Will we remain pawns on their chessboard, or will we take control of our own destiny? The time for awareness is now. The time for resistance is today.